Tonight we are following breaking news out of the most closely watched courtroom in America. A historic decision reached by the Manhattan jury. Former President Donald Trump has been found guilty on all 34 charges of falsifying business records. That's in violation of federal campaign laws, as well as committing tax fraud.
He is the first former U.S. president to be found guilty of a crime. The now convicted felon and billionaire businessman is expected to appeal this unprecedented verdict. Nonetheless, the result as it currently stands is sure to send shockwaves throughout the American political system. It immediately raises questions about Trump's way forward this election cycle, although at no point has Trump indicated he would drop out. Trump has consistently decried the case as unfair. Trump is widely expected once again to appeal. Trump is now the first president, current or former, in American history to be convicted. The jury finding him guilty on all 34 counts of falsifying business records to cover up a sex scandal that threatened his White House run in 2016. Each charge carries up to 4 years behind bars, though it's unclear if prosecutors will seek imprisonment. Sentencing has been set for July 11th in this case. That's just days ahead of the Republican National Convention taking place in Milwaukee. Donald Trump had fiery words for his convictions.
This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution. Our whole country is being rigged right now. This was done by the Biden administration. I think it's just a disgrace. And we'll keep fighting. We'll fight till the end, and we'll win, because our country's gone to hell. This was a rigged decision right from day one, with a conflicted judge who should have never been allowed to try this case, never. And we will fight for our Constitution. This is long from over.
Reaction is pouring in following this afternoon's verdict. Senator Ron Johnson posting on X, saying, after this travesty of justice, our judicial system will never be the same. He goes on to say, how can this not be considered the most egregious example of election interference? Also in reaction, a statement from the Biden-Harris campaign saying, in part, in New York today, we saw that no one is above the law. Donald Trump has always mistakenly believed he would never face consequences for breaking the law for his own personal gain. But today's verdict does not change the fact that the American people face a simple reality. There is still only one way to keep Donald Trump out of the Oval Office: at the ballot box. Continuing coverage of breaking news out of New York tonight. The Manhattan jury has found former President Donald Trump guilty on all 34 counts, the culmination of his hush money criminal trial.
He is the first former U.S. president to be found guilty of a crime. The now convicted felon and billionaire businessman is expected to appeal. Nonetheless, the result as it currently stands is sure to send shockwaves throughout the American political system. Trump is widely expected to appeal. In fact, his lawyers have said so. National correspondent Atra Al-Nashar has the details.
It took the 12-person jury roughly 11 hours over a day and a half to find former President Trump guilty on 34 felony counts, all 34 counts. Now, the verdict came down quicker than many experts anticipated, given the complexity of this case. Now, the sentencing, what happens next, that'll occur at 10 a.m. on July 11th. That's just before the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. Now, Trump's legal team has already said they will appeal this verdict. That's expected to delay things potentially until after the election. This is all very fluid. Trump, though, came out right away and addressed reporters outside the courtroom. He repeated claims that the case in his eyes was rigged. However, earlier today, we did hear from one of his attorneys complimenting how hard and thoroughly the jury was working. We've also just heard from the Biden campaign. They say, quote, in New York today, we saw that no one is above the law. Donald Trump has always mistakenly believed he would never face consequences for breaking the law for his own personal gain, and went on to make the argument for why the American people should not vote for Trump in November. It's possible we hear directly from President Biden. When the verdict came out, he was in Delaware with the First Lady. So we'll be watching for any announcement from the White House to see if he addresses this matter as the president or perhaps he may address it as a candidate on the campaign trail. On Capitol Hill, I'm Atrel Nashar.
Reaction is pouring in following this afternoon's verdict. Wisconsin's 8th District Republican candidate Tony Weed saying in part that Joe Biden and his lackeys have weaponized the Department of Justice to persecute his political adversaries. The American people recognize what a sham this is. This November, Americans will deliver their own verdict and re-elect President Trump. Weed was endorsed by Trump in April. Also reacting is another 8th District candidate, Roger Roth, who says in part, "We will not allow Democrats to use this trial to distract from the fact that Wisconsinites are paying more money to make ends meet. Joe Biden opened our southern border to human traffickers and drug cartels, and our national security is weaker today than it was 4 years ago." Fox 11 will bring you the latest on this case as it happens live on air. You can always get the latest information on our website as well. Check that out at fox11online.com.